My biggest fear is being a loser.
But self-help books aren't very interesting to me.
It doesn't benefit us to acknowledge that. They're going 20 in like a 60. They need to get off the track, or we need to like swerve around them, and we're swerving around.
You have the potential to be anything. And so like letting that go to waste is pretty unfortunate.
So it's not about the comparison with him, it's about the comparison to me against who I was before.
I'm an optimist. Like this school at the end of the day is still like a blessing to me. What's good enough for you then? You know, like is Harvard good enough for you?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Magnus Effect, the podcast where we talk to ambitious college students and understand how they're balancing their ambitions with the day-to-day college life. Thank you to all the regular listeners that have been following all the episodes so far, and to all the new listeners, welcome. Today is a very special episode. This is the 10th episode since I launched the Magnus Effect, and I thought I would try something different. So I decided to play Hot Seat with Hot Takes. The premise is simple. We play the game Hot Seat, ask each other questions, but as we gradually go through the conversations, we kind of give our own takes and dive deep into a variety of topics. I really enjoyed how this episode came out, and I felt like I was able to connect with my guest, Josie, while also giving my own input as to how I kind of see the world. If you're interested in just listening to the hot takes, please fast forward 5 minutes past this segment, and then you can go right ahead into all the juicy details. Like always, please enjoy the episode. Hello everyone, today's a special episode of the Magnus Effect. We're going to be playing the popular card game Hot Seat.
Wow.
Where each of these cards has a question on them, and we're just going to take turns asking each other.
Yes. I am so happy that you invited me, and I can't wait to do this. Woo!
Pick a card, any card. And you get to answer that question.
Okay, what am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to going to my friend's birthday party tonight.
What is the worst gift you've ever received?
Okay, I can actually drone on about this. So, because this is actually a relationship, that's why. But it's not really a relationship. In high school, there was this guy who was like, oh my god, we should totally hang out. Because I've been sending snaps to him because I used to use Snap for high school. Like, I just snap people. He was like, oh my god, we should hang out sometime. Mind you, this guy, he, I guess he also wanted to do medicine. But it was a running joke that the only places you ever find him was his room. We're in a boarding school. His room or the gym. His only personality was working out. I'm not kidding.
Right.
And so he was like, oh my god, we should hang out, right? And then I went on like a hangout with him. I bet he can call it a date, but I just hung out with him as friends. And so like right after that, on my birthday, which was a couple days afterwards, he was like, oh, so what are we? Are we dating? Girlfriend, boyfriend? I'm like, what the hell? I literally just like met you. Anyways, and then he gave me a birthday present. It was like a stuffed animal. But the stuffed animal is like, you know the ones that you find in like museums? Mm-hmm. And it's like for boys, little boys. It's like masculine stuffed animals, you know?
Oh, I don't know about masculine stuffed animals.
So it's like a bear. But it wasn't like a teddy bear. It wasn't like a cute bear. It was just a bear.
It was a bear.
Right.
That sounds
Mind
cute.
you, I hate stuffed animals. Anyways.
Oh.
But
she's got the dumpling right there.
No, I love the toilet. I like this one. No, especially in high school. I hated stuffed animals in high school. But anyways, so he gave that to me. And he was like, oh, here. And it looks like something that he probably got when he was like 6. Mm-hmm. And he just happened to have it in his room.
Right.
So he just gave it to me. I was like, oh, thanks.
I'm trying to think of mine.
Yeah, what's yours?
Worst gift? I don't know. I've had a lot of great gifts, and I'm thankful for a lot of them. I think deodorant was a pretty interesting gift for me.
Has anyone gifted you a like body wash?
I got
or like mouthwash.
Yeah.
Mouthwash.
I had someone gift me like all these different health products, like this, like different shampoos and deodorant.
Wait, that's
and
not that bad.
Stuff. It's not, but I don't Fuck, this is gonna sound so bad. I don't smell when I sweat. I don't have the.
Wait,
I
I
don't
feel
have the
like Asian
gene.
people don't smell.
No, I don't. I don't have the gene, right? Like,
Yeah, a lot of
it's
Asian people don't
known.
have
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So getting deodorant was probably the most useless. So
Uh-huh.
therefore, it's the worst. I would say.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
At least you didn't get mouthwash. Next question.
Next
How about I
question.
fan it out for you? You pick.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm doing this wrong. I think it's like I pick and then I ask you and then you pick and you ask me.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, what is your biggest fear?
You gotta say it because you picked it.
Oh, no, why are you
You're like,
deflecting on
"Me."
me?
I don't think this is a fear, but more like a worry or a concern. I don't quite know what I'm gonna be in the future. Like how I'm gonna go about it. Cause low-key, like where I'm standing right now, going into the route of pre-med, I have people talking down on me, telling me, "Oh, you're gonna change. You're not gonna be a doctor." No, like very few people are gonna be doctor. Are you sure you want to be a doctor? And so it's kind of getting me kind of, like again, like I'm ignoring everyone because low key, like everyone's telling me how Chem 1A is hard. So like, so so like, or like Chem 3A, Chem 3B is so hard. Everyone's telling Physics 8A was hard, and then I'm like, okay, sorry, it's hard for some people. It's hard for some people. I'm sure, but I'm saying like so like people are telling me like, oh, like what you're doing is hard. So I'm like low key even just thinking about like giving up, maybe work at like my friend's company or something, or like marrying someone rich or something, like stuff like that, like just in order to have a stable life. So that's my biggest fear, I think. Not
Finding, like,
achieving
a
anything or like
interesting.
not having a purpose in life. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you?
Similar thing, but my biggest fear is not being good enough in a way. I mean, don't get me wrong, I preach the whole there's no way you can lose if you try your absolute hardest. Right. It's a matter of like actually trying your hardest, you know.
And not getting there.
Not even. It's just like you know, a lot of people like to say that they tried their hardest. In reality, they could have done so much more. They could have really pushed their limits even more, but they decided to quit when things got just slightly inconvenient.
And then made yourself feel better.
Right. Self rationalization and just making yourself feel better, seeking everyone else's attention for going through this hard thing. I don't. I'd like to stray away from that. My biggest fear. Oh, you know what? No, not big. Not.
Yeah. Continue.
I'd like to rephrase my biggest fear.
Right. Okay.
My biggest fear is being a loser.
Wait,
I would
kinda have the same
absolutely
one, too.
hate to be some of the people I've seen around campus. Some people are just so void of a vision in life, so void of ambition, so void of doing anything within their life that it frustrates me that they don't want to do more with their time here. I mean, there's so much to do, there's so much to specialize in, there's so many skills to learn. There's so many things to do that why are you so comfortable with living such an average life, living in a corporate world and living a reality that is someone else's, you know?
Right.
So my biggest fear is being that old 40-year-old guy driving a beat up car, driving into a Walmart and scraping pennies month to month, trying to pay for their rent and provide for their kids. Not, you know what? No, let's go even further than that. Like someone who doesn't have kids, someone who doesn't have a loving like relationship, who has no one in their life that or that respects them.
Yeah.
I'd hate to be that guy. That's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is being
A loser.
that shell of a person that decided not to do anything with their life and suffers the consequences of doing so.
I feel like every kid, like when you're out and you're in the world, like you have the potential to be anything. And so like letting that go to waste is pretty unfortunate. But those people are usually the people that don't see that they're going to waste, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Their life is going to waste.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, we could definitely like go into the whole thing, like a bunch of different things. It's like, oh, they weren't given the same opportunities, the same background, whatever, their perspectives are different. But still, I mean, you have one life. You're gonna let how you grow up like
Define
define
you.
everything?
Right.
Like, come on.
I think especially in our world now, we have a lot more opportunities that are accessible for everyone, which is a good thing. And like I'm sure it will continue to be that way, and that shouldn't be an excuse anymore, you know? I feel like every kid has the potential to like, as long as you put in discipline, you put in effort, you can learn any skill. Right. And especially as an adult, you're saying, "Oh, I'm too old now to learn a new language. I'm too old now to like learn a new sport or like to like learn something new." That's also just bullshit, you know?
That was what, 2 questions? Okay, I think we could do one more.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Would you like to pick or would you
choose a deck. Any deck.
Do I pick? Why don't you pick for me?
What is something you've learned from someone in this room?
Someone in this room. You mean you? I learned that I completely agree with Magnus in a way where my my biggest fear is also I don't want to be a loser. Yeah.
It's a good fear to have, I think.
I feel like it's so subjective though. So it's like you're telling yourself you're not good enough, you know? Like how do you know when you're good enough?
How do you know when you're good enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually a pretty cool answer that I heard about today. Because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I really enjoy it. So, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. How you're supposed to compare yourself is in a way that is productive, right? First is recognizing that the person you're comparing yourself to is a human like anyone else, right? If you take on the habits that they take on, eventually you will get to that level, and it's not anything that's magical, right? It's all about habits. It's all about inputs and outputs. If you keep putting in inputs, you'll keep getting an output. I feel like there's a lower bound to what happens if you don't put any input at all, right? You just stay at rock bottom. Rock bottom is the lowest you can go. But if you keep putting in inputs from rock bottom and you climb, there is no ceiling. So there is no such thing as being perfect or reaching the threshold that you envision yourself to reach. Because once you reach that, there's always more to go towards, right? So it's about the pursuit of reaching your fullest potential rather than being the person that you imagine to be the full potential. It's so important to understand that principle, I feel like, and I never like thought about it until now. It's like you'll never reach your destination. Yeah. Right? It's not about knowing when you're good enough. It's about the progress you make towards being good.
So you have to celebrate every little step.
Celebrate milestones. Celebrate milestones, because in reality, it's, you know, I can give a pretty close to home example, right? I have a friend who's incredibly good at running, right? And whenever I try to run with him, he's always outpacing me. He's always more. He always has more endurance than me, and I always feel like I can't like keep up with him. He has a track and field background. He has a cross country background. I didn't have that running background, and yet I keep running with him every week, and I still can't ever catch up to him. Of course, I can't catch up to him. He's training when I'm training, and we start off at different places. However, I cut my mile time by like 1 minute 30 seconds, 1 minute 45, 2 minutes. I'm so much better than the person I was when I first started running with him. So it's not about the comparison with him, it's about the comparison to me against who I was before.
I think in a way though, that means that like Berkeley is a really good place to be in, where I mean, if you find the right people, there are people that push you to be better.
Right.
And so that constant feeling of not being good enough is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean too?
That's another subject we could go into.
Yeah.
The feeling of not being good. Okay, so
because it propels you to go further.
It does. And you know, you talked a little bit about like surrounding yourself with the right people, right? And so a similar subject that was mentioned on that podcast, funny enough, was like that whole thing about like surrounding yourself with, or you are the sum of the five people that you surround yourself with, right? And they were on the subject of answering a question of like, how do I find those five people, right? And the answer was basically go on social media, find the people that you want to be, and just imitate them. And that's kind of, or imitate them in the sense that copy their habits, right? Going back to the whole input and output thing. If you copy their habits and you copy their inputs and outputs, you'll eventually become that person and attract more people
They're like
like
that.
that, right? So, in the essence of people pushing you, um, it wasn't even a question. I don't know why I went on this tangent.
No, we can talk about that too, because I. Would you like me to talk?
Yeah, go, please.
I completely relate with that because for some reason, even though Berkeley is so big, I end up finding people who are like me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of values, in terms of
Right,
like the
right,
way you
right.
behave. And honestly, I don't think I was the one that found them. I think they were the one that found me. But I just find it really interesting how people are kind of like magnets to themselves, you know,
Right. You attract the people that
or
the
like
person that
you.
you are.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's like the nature of like friendships in general. Because like if you think about it, right, you connect with people that have similar interests to you, like hobbies or like interest or like things that you collect.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a part of that equation is just like worth ethic, your drive, your passion, your goals, and all that
Right.
type of stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that there are people in Berkeley that are not ambitious at all? Like there's no
100%.
really?
So I don't want to come off as cocky here. And lately, after becoming more and more of the person I want to be, being like striving for personal excellence and actually like succeeding a good amount this year, I've found a really great circle of friends, right? Friends that are have accomplished and are accomplishing stupidly crazy things. How I said earlier before on how my fear was being a loser, we're all
Mm-hmm.
so obsessed with like not being a loser that when we do run into someone like that, it's really distasteful, you know?
I can feel that.
Right.
I I've always kind of denied that by saying that maybe like everyone has their own little sparkle. Maybe they're like what makes them stand out is something that I can't see.
Right.
But yeah, like maybe that's not the case at
But it's
all
also something
even.
that we just don't really care about, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
as cynical as it sounds, it's like
It doesn't involve you at
yeah,
all. Yeah.
it doesn't benefit us to acknowledge them. I feel like to a certain extent, yes, you can get their diverse perspective and understand the background they came from, but in the end, we're striving for excellence, and if they're not on that road, then
They're NPCs.
they need to, or in the analogy of like a highway, right? Like if
Yeah.
they're going 20 in like a 60 zone, it's like they need to get off the track, or we need to like swerve around them, and we're swerving around them.
Very yeah.
But when you say like do you think Berkeley students are really ambitious? I feel like I've met it's either well the short answer is no. I really think that Berkeley students aren't driven at all. You know, I glamorized this university because I thought everyone was doing startup. I thought everyone was doing research and all this cool, amazing, cool shit. But um, I've just run into a lot of people who don't understand what they're doing, who don't have any strive to build something on their own. They just want a corporate job and they can't see anything outside of that. And you know, if this is coming from someone who's very anti-corporate. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to work in a corporate setting. I believe in just hustling and building your own like skill sets. But at least like if I were to go down school, I'd have like a vision in mind where it's like, okay, I'll study hard, I'll get into consulting, get a wage so that I can fund this next thing. I'm always thinking about what I could do better, but I feel like a lot of people that are just in the college system in general don't think past a job. Like that's their end goal.
It's like the good enough mentality.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. And so when I compare like how many of my friends are really ambitious to the amount of people I meet in Berkeley, it feels like the difference is insane. Right? There's so much more people that are too nonchalant, too non or nah, that's the wrong word. Not urgent.
Right. I feel like Berkeley is so big that you do see that. You know? Because at the end of the day, like, there's what, 15,000 people in our grade. It's a public school. There's bound to be people that are like that, you know? Yeah.
So I don't know. What have you seen? Have you seen more ambitious or more or less like not so ambitious?
I think that, again, like, I came from schools that you kind of have to apply to get in. They interview you, they are selecting people. I happen to know a lot of people that go to Berkeley that are, you know, different like from different college. Oh, man. I happen to know people that are in Berkeley back when I was in high school. Because, you know, like, Berkeley at the end of the day is still a great school. But then the people that I do meet who are maybe not as ambitious, I just tell myself maybe perhaps it's something I just didn't see, you know? Maybe, like, I'm just being judgmental in my own, like, range of view. And maybe, like, it's not the case and, like, they actually have something that's shiny. That's, you know, that I'm just not seeing.
Do you really believe that this school is good? Because that's something I was trying to tie in with my last point.
Really?
Where it was like, I thought Berkeley was really good, but because of like the difference I've seen, and because of how little of those people that really want it exist, or maybe I just haven't found them yet, I feel like this school isn't that great. But yeah.
I'm an optimist, and I think that, like, the fact that you got into the school, like, the school at the end of the day is still, like, a blessing to me. I feel like yeah, like, there's bound to be a lot of other people that are not, like, someone that you would want to, like, pay attention to. They're not, like, someone that actually have, like, dreams or stuff like that, but they are, like Berkeley is still, like, so many well-known people came out of Berkeley. The Lewis Stock Structure guy came out of Berkeley.
Nobel
My
Prize
Fitness Pal
winners.
guy came out of Berkeley.
Yeah.
I think Tesla, like, one of the founders of Tesla came out of Berkeley. And so, like, there's so many stuff that Berkeley can offer, you know? And I think that, at least for me, I feel like people who start hating on Berkeley right after getting in, I see their point. I'm sorry. I see their point. But then also, like, what's good enough for you then, you know? Like, is Harvard good enough for you? Maybe Harvard's doing the same thing, you know? Yeah.
It's all about the metrics you define, but it's also like the grass is always green on this side, right?
Yeah. I think for me,
reality, it's where you water it the most.
right. Unless you can change, you can do something about how to make Berkeley better, it's out of your control, you know? And the only thing that you can control is yourself and what you can make out of Berkeley. Like, you can't get mad that the sky is blue, you know? You can't get mad that Berkeley is how it is, or like the homeless issue, or like the education system, or like the UC system as a whole. But you can make use of, like, your own education and the people you meet and your own experience out of it.
All right. So
Yeah.
take more self-accountability rather than like just throwing hate, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Or just, at the end of the day, also, like, you have control of your own emotions. You can choose not to, like, if someone hits you in the face, okay, like, you can react, but you can also act, you know, and not be angry. You can smile if you want, like, you know, and act, you know,
no. I'm
stuff like
smiling
that.
because there's
No, I meant, like, if someone punches you in the face, you can smile if you want.
Oh, right.
Like, you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
your own,
yeah.
like, it's free will, you know.
Of course.
But so just make use out of Berkeley, you know, like, yeah.
I think we have like really similar views.
Really? Oh,
I'm
okay.
about to go off on this one thing.
Really? Yeah, go ahead. Maybe you can, like, cut it out.
What do
or,
you think what do you think of this whole mental crisis epidemic
at Berkeley?
In general.
in general?
Just how everyone's diagnosing themselves with depression, ADHD, and all these different things.
I think self-diagnosis is bullshit. You can't just suddenly say you're depressed, or like you have DID, or like you can't. I find that so cringy when people say that. You actually have to be diagnosed by a therapist. But even then, like, I think you and I kind of have a pretty Asian mentality where it's like you kind of have free will, you know? And that actually comes from, I think it's called, I forgot what's it called, the humanitarian psychology, where like everything is like about yourself is something you can control. You can control your own emotions, you know? And like, I guess there's two ways of saying, like, if you're actually diagnosed with depression, like, I see that you can't really, you need help thinking the way you can, right? But you can't suddenly be like, I'm depressed, not get diagnosed, say you're depressed, and just keep it that way, you know? You have to find help in some way or the other. And one of them is being other people helping you, or you have to help yourself. And honestly, like, helping yourself, if you're self-aware as, like, I'm assuming, like, I'm pretty self-aware, I feel like. If you're self-aware enough, I feel like you can definitely change. But I think that, like, moping around and, like, almost romanticizing mental disorders is a little bit sick, you know?
Right, and because some people just want to feel that pity, that sorrow, that attention, right?
Yeah, like, oh my God, I have daddy issues. Like, that's not something to be proud of, you know? You know, like, either find help or don't get help, but don't influence others and romanticize it for other people.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think there's very few things in this world that you can control, but your mind is one of them. So why would you turn it against yourself? And then you're just a blob that operates on emotion.
Yeah.
Like, can't think for itself, and you can't.
That's
you
also
can't do
really
anything.
sad too. Cause like, I don't know, the idea of not having free will. Yeah, you can't control a lot of things. You can't control politics. You can't control climate change. I mean, yeah, you technically can't control climate change like right now, or like you can't control if the world is going to end tomorrow, you know? But you can't control your emotions. You can't control what you do. You can't control like your interactions with other people. Yeah.
A lot more. I think stoicism is definitely like a really like important thing that should be taught more. Because yeah, some people, I just don't understand why they react the way they do.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, I guess. Like, we are still like growing. You don't
Yeah.
completely develop until you're 25, right? Like your brain, I mean. But like, it's good to see it early, you know? It's good to be taught that early.
Right. How well, I guess you said kind of religion, but do you think you just came up with these views, or were you influenced by someone? Because I was definitely influenced by like podcasts and just like
You were influenced by
listening
podcasts?
to a variety of people, reading books.
I have to be honest with you, I don't really read. And I've been trying to get myself to read, but self-help books aren't very interesting to me. At least to me, whenever I read them, I'm like, yeah, this is like common sense, you know? And so like most of my ideas probably stem from religion, but it's mainly by myself, you know? At least like I remember in middle school. Oh, actually, no. Let me tell you a story in high school. In 9th grade, I had a group of friends who were a little bit exclusive, I guess. And in a way where like I personally have other commitments to do. I had swim practice, I had orchestra, I had to audition for something, and then I think afterwards I had volleyball practice. And like my day after school goes from 3 p.m. so when school ends down to like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. sometimes. Maybe like traffic, so like 9 p.m., 9:30, you know? And so I never really had like, other than during school time, so maybe during lunchtime, like 1 hour at lunch and like during class, I don't really have a lot of like really, really close friends to hang out at the mall with or during the weekends, you know? And so that group of friends started making a group chat without me, and they went to different places, and you know, they had fun and stuff like that, right? And so one of them was them going to an amusement park, and I remember feeling a little bit sad because I was like, wow, like they didn't even invite me, you know? And so I was like, okay, like honestly, that stuff is out of my control. Like I did as much as I can, being nice to them, being friendly to them, buying them Christmas gifts. Like I did all my best. Like I think I was like 3 shots and then like whatever, you know, like I'm out, you know. And so I remember also applying to a bunch of like clubs, because in ninth grade you couldn't really get into not clubs. They're like committees, like school committee, like leadership positions. And so I applied to 3 of them. And I was telling myself, this is in ninth grade, and I was telling myself again, like, just like my friends where I can't control the way that they behave towards me, as long as I give my 100% on applying to those applications, like applying to those committees, whatever results I get back, again, that's out of my control. Right. So I remember applying to Tri-M, the Music Honor Society, the Activities Council, which we were in charge of, like, my school was known for like their rugby team, their volleyball team, and we compete again like all over Asia, right? Yeah. So we were in charge for setting up the rally, making the what's it called, the videos to hype people up before them traveling and competing, and then also the honor cabinet, so like ways to promote honesty and stuff like that. And then we had like our own little like class in a way. So those 3 clubs, not clubs, there's 3 like leadership committees I applied to. Afterwards, I got into all 3. After submitting them, I was happy if I got rejected. I didn't care. And in my head, I was telling myself, because I'm Catholic, right? I'm telling myself, at the end of the day, like, I gave it my best. Everything now is in God's hands. Or the universe's hands, or like basically like it's out of my control, you know, to anyone that's not religious or anything, but like it's out of my control. And so all I need to care about was writing those letters, sending them off, you know, giving it my 100%, just like how I give my 100% to those friends. And the fact that it's in God's hands, at least for me, it's like, that's a good thing, right? Because God knows everything. So if I get in, if I don't get in, that was his choice, which is always the right choice. But again, if you're not religious, like, it's like out of your control. Like, you don't need to worry about that. But like, again, it's like, it's not you, you know? You can't blame yourself for that. If you're not religious, just blame other people. Like, it's fine, like, you know? But at least for me, that's how I saw it. So everything, the fact that I did not get in probably serves a higher purpose for like something else. Maybe he's saving an opportunity for me to do something else, you know?
Right. And I think you encapsulate that perfectly, because like, as much as I hate to say this because it has like a bad rep, but people often say everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And as cringy as, I don't know, I guess the media portrays it to be, I definitely have fond experience in kind of that comfort of, like one of these beautiful phrases I've heard from another podcast. They said rejection is God's protection, right? Mm. Which is another way of saying, it's in God's hands. You know, if you try your best, then at the end of the day, there's nothing you could do about it. It's in someone else's hands, right? And I feel like that's not something that gets taught a lot. It's like, stop worrying about the things that aren't in your control and start worrying about the things that are in your control.
Right.
Yeah. We have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest asks the next guest a question without knowing who it is. So the question you've been given is, what has been your favorite night out?
I was in Singapore, and I went to a club with a group of friends, and this specific club had like throwback music, right? I was partying sober, hardcore sober, but we be partying till 3 a.m. We came out, we couldn't even hear anything. That's how loud that place was. And so it was so fun. I probably burnt like how do you? I don't know. I probably burnt like 1,000 calories or something. I don't even know. I'd be jumping up and down since
Just like pool of sweat all over you, right?
Yeah, since like 11 p.m. till 3 in the morning, I'd be jumping up and down for 4 hours straight.
It's a good workout.
Sober.
Right.
And like, of course, like, you know, like, oh, I also lost my voice too because that's how hard I was screaming. So that's my favorite night out. And it was also Singapore, so it's really safe. Right. And it was full of a lot of like people my age in the club, you know, so everything was really nice. So yeah.
Have you been able to find like a moment like that since coming to college?
I've never gone to a club in America before.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. But I think nothing can beat like a club in Asia. Yeah, that's what I feel like.
Why is that?
I think everything in all the clubs I've been to in Asia have been really nice, really safe, really new, really clean, really nice. Yeah. And so at least for me, I'm comparing like frat parties with like American college frat parties with Asian clubs, and at least Asian nightclubs they're pretty nice. Yeah.
Cool. Continuing on with our tradition, what's a question you'd want to ask next guest?
Let me think. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Like that. Classics.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to pass that on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Josie.
Thank you, Magnus.
It was a lot of fun.